So I want to do a brief role play with you today. I think it'll be really helpful for people who are watching. I'm going to play the role of a small business owner. Let's say I have 10 to 25 employees that work in at my company. What am I doing in my day-to-day business operations that would call out to cyber criminals like, hey, come hack me, we're super vulnerable?
Existing.
Okay. So it's just being alive.
Just being a business is good enough for them, you know. It's kind of like it's an evolving. That answer is always evolving, but in today's current climate, you know, there's a lot of things that are happening in an office day to day that people are just functioning. They don't realize that these are vulnerabilities and points of entry or potential gaps in their security efforts. So, you know, right off the bat is weak passwords. Weak passwords are the worst. You know, having a weak password, we all know, oh, have complex passwords. You can't use like your dog's name 1, 2, 3.
Right.
There are tools out there that these cyber criminals use called brute force tactics, and there's a tool literally called brute force.
Just running.
And it just runs password combinations, and the speed at which it can go through the basic stuff is incredibly scary.
Yeah.
So if your password is your son's name or your daughter's name, and then a couple numbers after it, like their birthday, it's going to figure that out super fast.
Okay.
Then when you add in your social media elements and other public information, they're able to put that into these tools, and it'll just try that stuff first. So it's even that much faster.
Right.
So it's really critical to have, ideally, a randomized password that's between 12 to 16 characters long, that has special symbols, et cetera. And you're going to want to change your passwords about every 60 days. But honestly, the easiest answer for a weak password is two-factor authentication.
Okay.
Get it. It's just the most important part of protecting accounts that are critical.
What about beyond being diligent about having really secure passwords? Is there anything else that is not maybe as obvious?
Yeah, a lot of the security is frontline, right? Mm-hmm. It's the users, it's what they're doing with the with the technology, how they're using it. So some of that frontline stuff again is weak passwords, phishing. Phishing is huge, right? You get these emails, they look like they're from somebody. Maybe you didn't really verify the email address. I mean, if you see a name in the top, you double click that, you see the real email address. If it's not actually the email address, and there's ones that look like other email addresses too. So it's tough, but usually your email service, at least our email service that we provide, will notify you in some way that email address probably isn't legit. So we help with the phishing, the phishing awareness in that sense. But there's also links, attachments, requests for money. The scams go on and on. We've all heard about the prince that's stranded in over the Saudi prince that needs you to send him $1,000 today. Promises you wealth and gold in return. Like that worked. It's a numbers game. It's sales. It's just. You want to be diligent against that stuff. So the phishing attacks, we could spend all day on that. Really lack of employee training is a huge issue. This is an area that we really like to make a splash, because even if you're working with us as an IT vendor, or you just want to increase the education of your employees and safeguard your business from cyber attacks, the training is critical. It's easy, we can provide that. I'm doing this knowing how well those guys edited now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
just keep rolling.
Just keep rolling.
Yeah.
Let's just keep rolling. So, look, insecure web browsing, public Wi-Fi, VPNs. Not using a VPN.
So public Wi-Fi. Let's just take that for a moment, because I think that's something that many small businesses probably tap into more than they might want to. Maybe you have an employee who's moving around, goes to a Starbucks, needs to plug in there, get some work done, send out some emails, you're on a public Wi-Fi.
You're on a public Wi-Fi, and I don't know if I should say this on there. I do it all the time. Like if I'm on a public Wi-Fi, I'm like, I wonder who's on here, and we have the tools to do those quick scans and see it. And then, if you know what you're doing, you can probably get into a machine on that network. Public Wi-Fi works like this. You're connecting to a network where everyone else is. So it's like walking into a mall. You're now in the mall with all those other people, and those people can talk to you. Those people can bump into you. Those people can steal information from you. Those people can, I don't know if that's a great analogy, but either way, you're now
You're increasing your risk.
yeah, you're jumping in that pool,
Yep.
And so if you're going to be on public Wi-Fi, you're going to want to use a VPN. And what a VPN does is it basically takes your traffic and sends it through a proxy security device and encrypts their traffic end to end. It makes it a little bit more difficult for what's called a man-in-the-middle attack.
What about scenarios like this? Look, we all work really hard. We spend a lot of time throughout our days focusing on business and growing the business and doing the right thing at work. But inevitably, everybody has a little bit of downtime, right? So maybe we pop on to our social media accounts, or maybe we do some online shopping. What are some of the vulnerabilities that people might not be thinking about there?
When you're looking at any website, whether it be business or personal, you definitely want to make sure that you're visiting a secure website. You can tell up in the top, usually there's some sort of shield or a lock, depending on your browser. That's an HTTPS website, right? So that S stands for secure. What that means is that the traffic that's being sent to and from the website is encrypted, right? Again, there are several types of attacks. I think maybe we should do another one on the different types of attacks, but one of the ones is man in the middle, intercepting data in transit. So VPN helps out with that.
Okay. Super helpful.
And also secure websites help out with that to make sure that the data that is being sent is encrypted. Another big issue that we see is the BYOD phenomena, or the BYOD movement, right?
Which
Where
is?
Bring your own device, right? So people come in, they join a company, they have their own laptop, the company doesn't pay for the laptop, the employee has a computer they're already used to working on. It's great. The problem is that now you have to treat that laptop as if it's a company device.
Incredible amount of personal data on that laptop right there.
Yep. So you have to, on a device level, if you want to experience the cost savings of the BYOD model, right? That machine needs to get secured. So the companies that are BYOD cultures have an increased need for strong policies and controls and security implementation on those machines. If it's not a corporate-owned device, usually you see BYOD in environments where there is not a central management solution like Active Directory or Azure. So those machines are typically going to be a little off the grid, so to speak, right? So that's where we can come in and we can actually manage those as isolated endpoints underneath the company. So we can govern the policies that the company wants to have on those machines versus a central server or a cloud-based server governing those policies. But either way, it's convenient, but they need enhanced security. And something other people don't think of is that that employee is using that device for company use. There definitely should be a disclaimer when they log in, letting them know that work that they do on this machine, even though it is their computer, is being monitored for security purposes.
Yeah. It sounds like there's a lot of kind of cyber quicksand that an employee or an employer can unintentionally wade into and get themselves into a lot of trouble.
There sure is, Steve. Two other areas that I think are super critical to people. Two other areas that I think might be helpful for people looking to make some immediate impacts is having incident response plan or a business continuity plan or a disaster recovery plan, however you want to call that. When something bad happens, what do you do, right? When I was young, we used to practice fire drills. Schools, I think they still do that. At home, my children sleep on the second floor. I've actually done fire drills on how to quick release my ladder, get that ladder to their windows in case the stairwell in the house, and I've practiced that a few times. I feel like I'm a little bit more prepared for when that situation happens, and if that situation happens in the middle of the night. And it's the same thing with business. Like, you need to have a plan at the very least, and then it should be exercised. So if your environment goes down, how do you recover from that? Was it a natural disaster? Was it a cyber attack? Was it was it impacting your physical location? Do you have a redundancy plan? Can your business still survive after the inevitable incident or event that occurs? And so we really dive in with our clients at that level to find out how critical is this location to your operation, and how would you continue to work if something happened, let's say, that impacted a 50-mile radius.
Yep.
So that's a really important part of that. And one of the driving factors in a business continuity plan is going to be the disaster recovery or the backup solutions that's in place. And there are certainly a tiered model to our backup solutions, but at the very least, make sure the data is backed up. And keep in mind that cloud solutions like Box, Dropbox, OneDrive, SharePoint, Google Drive, Ignite, any of these cloud-based file storage providers, they are not backups. Those SaaS providers, software as a service, they are not providing backups. That is an alternate location for those files to reside. There are solutions to provide the backup for that, but it's not baked in. So people feel like, oh, I put all my stuff on Dropbox, I have a backup. Well, those files are accessed every day, and they are certainly vulnerable to ransomware attacks, crypto locking, things like that. So you want to make sure that those storage locations that you have are backed up. So I think backups, business continuity plan, security, and education above all else.
So lately, over the past month or so, 2 months, we've been going out and doing a lot of client visits and connecting with our clients and making sure that we're doing everything we can to protect them and make sure that we're providing the services that they're looking for. But I want to talk to you and actually have you talk to me about a service that a lot of clients don't know about, and it revolves around kind of productivity management. If you could talk a little bit about that.
So we have a product that is at its heart, it's a productivity management tool, so that employers can really. It started as a way to manage your remote workforce. When COVID hit, everyone's working remotely, and a real concern for some employers was, look, I have people working remotely, and I don't know if they're actually working. In a perfect world, your employees are all trustworthy. You know that they're working. You don't have to worry about that stuff. But in some industries, or so, depending on the employer or whatever the reason, they want to know exactly what level of productivity they're getting out of their contractors, their employees, et cetera. So we have a tool that we're able to put onto a managed user's machine, and it runs silently, and it's able to gather information based off of user activity. So we can see how long have they been on social media, specifically what pages have they been on social media, perhaps YouTube. Have they gone to websites that are not company related? And we take that information and categorize it into actionable reports. So maybe your production team really shouldn't be on social media. However, your marketing team, they really should be.
Right.
So it's kind of like, how are you viewing this data? We just collect the data and are able to put it together in easy to understand reports that give you a real overview of exactly what's happening in your operation. You take that to another level, and it is a significant data security tool, IP or intellectual property tool that can, in a sense, protect that data specifically. I'll give you an example. If an employee is browsing Amazon for, say, Amazon's answering us. If an employee is browsing Amazon.com and looking for water bottles, right, and you just typed in a search for water, you're going to see all of the searches that they've done. Even though it was on their screen, we can see through optical character recognition what information they were actually working, what information that they were interacting with on their screen. Mm-hmm. And so because of the optical character recognition, it can even go further. We can tell when social security numbers are being transmitted, when bank account information is being transmitted, when a social security number is held up in front of a webcam, it will pick that up. Wow. So it's really, really powerful in the sense, if you're trying to protect company assets and information, we can configure this to raise alerts, appear in reports. Basically, all the data comes in, and what we do with it is up to the customer's imagination.
So you said something really interesting earlier on about if your production team is on social media, that might not be a good thing, whereas your marketing team's on social media, right? That's exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Is this a one-size-fits-all solution, or is this kind of customizable to different team members in different ways that people, that this software can actually capture reports?
Yeah, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution in the sense that here it is out of the box, this is what you get. It is a one-size-fits-all solution at its core because everybody can use more insights to what's going on in their operation. And there's a lot of different ways to leverage this. It could be anywhere from just monitoring to make sure that your employees are doing their job. In our environment, we certainly don't need to do that. Everyone is self-managed, and we're lucky in that sense. Other operations don't run that way. They do need to keep track of that stuff. So at its core, out of the box, we can do that. We customize, what information is important to you, what falls into category A or what falls into category B, and then you get, reports based on that information. But beyond that, it is really a customizable platform for data collection on all endpoints, and then aggregated into one easy to understand report. It's on our end to configure all of that data and put it into different data sets and provide the customer with useful information and actionable data. But it really, we can do a lot with this tool that protects client data, and we do it regularly.
Now, is this a tool that has to be deployed across all endpoints, or can this be deployed across specific endpoints, and does it need to be deployed for a year at a time, multiple years, or is this something that we can be really customizable with them, where we could put it onto specific endpoints? And talk to me about that.
Yeah, we can put it on specific endpoints. It does not need to be the entire company. We do provide that service in blocks of 10, so you can move them around machines. You can do random check-ins on your staff if need be. What was your question?
It sounds to me that maybe this is a tool and a service that can be utilized at very precise times for precise reasons, but it also might not be a tool for everybody.
Sure.
And it's great to know that it can be customizable for specific endpoints and customizable for specific periods of time.
Yeah, specific periods of time, specific computers or endpoints, specific people, specific situations. We have a customer that deals with a lot of loaner computers. They're in the entertainment space, and they have this product on all of their computers because they need to know what's happening on these loaner machines.
Right.
So their situation is unique, and we were able to provide a unique solution to that problem for them.
That's great.
Certainly provides enhanced security. It protects against inside and outside threats, right? So understanding what is happening with your data in an easy to understand top-down view is critical. The improved compliance. Yeah, so another added benefit of this particular platform is improved compliance. GDPR, HIPAA, PCI, DSS, the list goes on and on. This software provides tools to monitor and control data access and usage, making it easier to adhere to the legal standards that and avoid heavy fees. So data loss prevention is another big one, right? We prevent sensitive data from leaving the organization, and we can automatically block or alert on unauthorized data transfers, whether through email, web uploads, or external devices. This is a critical piece in compliance adherence. Detailed auditing and forensics is another big piece that we could provide using this platform. It records detailed logs, video recordings of the user activity. We provide an audit trail that can be invaluable for forensic analysis post any cyber breach. That of course would only happen if you were not using our full Synergen Solutions suite. Remote workforce management, we've talked about that. Real-time alerts and automated responses. We can configure automated responses to any particular data set that triggers that automated response. Highly, highly valuable asset right there. I'll talk about transparent and ethical monitoring briefly. Our platform supports transparent monitoring practices that respect privacy. This is the critical piece here. When you're monitoring employees, whether you let them know or not, there's an ethical line right there, and we want to be on the right side of that ethical line. So we provide transparent monitoring practices that respect privacy while ensuring the security and compliance guidelines are met. Mm-hmm. This helps maintain trust between the employers and the employees.
Yeah, because the last thing we want to do, that an employer wants to do, is create bad vibes in their company, right?
Yeah.
So there's definitely wrong ways to deploy a software like this.
Yeah.
And maybe only a few right ways to do it.
Yeah.
So we're here to kind of work with them and consult them on how to do that best for their organization.
Yeah. So Steve, you've been in business development and account management for a really long time now. In your experience, what does a dream client onboarding experience look like?
I think it really starts from the very initial development of that relationship. On our side, it's being consistent. It's consistency throughout every step of that relationship development. It's a perfect mirror image between expectation setting and then the follow through. So it's all supported and bolstered by documentation and a super friendly and available technical team that we love to talk about. And then on the client side, it's a client that's equally as invested as we are, doing everything that they can in order to make sure that we're both kind of locked arms and we're going at this together. So it's really, other than that, it's just them letting their clients and their, other than that, it's really just them letting their employees know that, hey, Synergen Solutions is going to be doing remote onboarding. If you could just let them know when you're available, they're going to get into your computer environment, set everything up. It's going to be a quick and kind of painless scenario for them. Other than that, it's completely hands-off. The onus is on us to make that experience easy and support that with documentation and just be available for them at every step of the way.
I think it's safe to say that technology is at least 50% of most businesses' operations. So to put it into better perspective, we're taking a load off of 1/7 of the burden of running a business.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge undertaking. And if you let us do it, we can provide that.